City of Stevens Point Historic Preservation Design Review Commission meeting, recorded August 10, 2022.
Okay,
Ready.
Design Review Commission meeting for August 10th. We're beginning at 3:35. Roll call, Mr. Kuhn.
Siebert.
Here.
Monk.
Here.
Christensen is excused. McFarland.
Here.
Scripps.
Here.
Walewski is excused, and Hornig is excused. So we have 4 members, and that is a quorum.
Okay. Number 2, a report on the July 13th meeting, 2022, of the Historic Design Review. I would entertain a motion to accept the minutes as written.
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Okay. Any corrections or comments? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Excuse me. Number 3, a request from Kirk Ryman, representing BMO Harris Bank, for a design review to install 2 wall signs on the property located at 1245 Main Street. I would then entertain a motion to accept the proposal and the staff recommendations.
I'll move to accept with staff recommendations.
Okay. Second, please.
Second.
Okay. Discussion.
I can give a quick background
Okay.
on it. So before you all is a request. It's a significant sign package, including a couple new wall signs refacing an existing freestanding sign, some additional identification signs that are being proposed primarily within the drive-up ATM lanes. Now, in the context of this commission, minor signage is a minor work, so that's something that staff can approve, provided that it meets all standards, guidelines, criteria set forth by this commission. The reason for these 2 signs in particular that are being brought before this commission is that one of the guidelines that staff has to look at is making sure that any new signs that are proposed, that it's not hiding any significant architectural detail. And if that is a case, then that's something where, you know, we as a commission collectively have to have that conversation and talk about whether or not the proposed signs are okay on your end. So just touching on the 2 signs in particular. So the proposed wall sign is on the front of the building off of Main Street. The left image that's shown on the screen shows the existing sign, right being the proposed sign, the BMO business name, and then the logo alongside of it. And then the identification sign is located along Clark Street on the ATM, on the southernmost drive-up lane for the ATM. And you can see it's a pretty small, I believe, 16 square foot sign, if I'm not mistaken, for the identification sign. So, you know, myself, the chair, and the applicant has been working for the last couple weeks now on solidifying the sign package to make sure that we're all comfortable with it. My opinion, we're at that stage now, so entertain any comments, questions, concerns that the 4 of you have.
Actually, I think the new one looks better than the old one.
That's my thought too. You get to see more of the wood on the front of the building
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, can we talk potentially about the backlit nature of it?
For
The front.
wall sign?
Yeah, for the front.
I mean, you can talk about the intensity of the lighting, but not so much whether it can be illuminated itself.
Okay. All right. Because I was just looking at the sign guidelines, and there was one discouraging. Let's see. Discouraging like backlit, or internally lit. And I was just wondering if what
Yeah.
what was going on in regards to that
Good
particular
question.
part.
So any sign company, when they submit a sign package, they do list the light intensity that's being proposed. So I wouldn't be opposed to if you as a commission want to add a condition, you as a commission want to add a condition saying basically that the intensity of the light has to be low to not, detract the architectural appearance of the building, and that intensity can be approved by staff and the chair.
Okay.
If that's something that's, of a general concern in terms of the light intensity that you want as a condition.
In talking to whoever it was, what is the intensity of the light? I mean, is it just kind of a dim backlit? Or
It's more of a dim backlit, yeah.
Okay.
Which I know even for those, you can't control how intense it is, so if you'd want it to be less intense than what's being proposed, I mean, it's doable for sure.
Okay.
And the sign that's existing is illuminated already, right?
Correct.
Anything else? Okay, are you interested in adding a condition, or?
Something where it isn't overpowers the the wood paneling in the back.
Could do something like,
Is that looking at all the historical photos? It definitely looks like there's great care to still retain that.
correct.
And this sign, it looks like losing a little bit of that, and I just don't want like a backlit sign just overpowering that feature of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you could phrase a condition like, the applicant shall work with staff and the chair on determining the appropriate light intensity for the sign, or something along that
Okay.
vein.
Yeah.
If that's a condition that you want to add, if you want to make a motion on that.
Okay, yeah, I can.
Or we can add an addendum to the motion.
So if you would want to add, so you have a motion and a second for the full approval. If you'd want to make a separate ask for the additional condition, you would need to make a motion and a second, and then we would have a vote just for adding that condition on to
Right.
the previous
Right.
request.
Okay, then,
So you'd like to make a motion?
yes, I would like to make a motion.
Okay.
To add the addendum
Okay.
on light intensity,
Okay.
so on and so forth.
Second? Sarah or Eric?
I'll second.
Okay. Further discussion on the light intensity portion? Okay. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Passes? Pardon? Opposed? Yeah.
Just making sure.
Then on the first motion,
So this would be the motion to accept with the conditions that staff outlined in the report, plus the additional condition for the light intensity.
correct, correct. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Well, there are many. Okay. Then, yeah, okay. Number 4, a request from Mike Beacom for a facade improvement grant in the amount of $91,3480 to perform exterior improvements to the building located at 1052 Main, which is the alleyway, is
Yes. The downtown plaza building.
downtown, yeah.
So I can give just a quick background. I don't think the applicant is on. He is out in DC right now, and he was gonna try to make it, but I can give a quick background. So, before you all are a couple of improvements that's being proposed to the downtown plaza building. These improvements include wall treatments, painting, pressure washing, tuck pointing, roof repair, and signage. So included in the agenda packet are the 2 bids for each of the 3 improvements. Staff calculated those quotes relative to our facade grant guidelines, and ultimately the total project cost that is estimated is just shy of $23,000. 40% of that total project cost being $9,134.80. So I'd make one note before I go further about the improvements itself. Most of these improvements are considered minor work, so staff can review internally. There have been conversations that I've had with the applicant, namely regarding conditions or requirements that would have to be met, such as the installation of the sign on the building, for example. So I just wanted to make that note. So as far as the facade grant, as you can see, again, I mentioned the 2 bids for each improvements. There's the proof of insurance included in it. So ultimately, I would recommend approval, and be happy to take any questions that you may have.
Okay, so let's, excuse me, a motion to accept the proposal and staff recommendations for the proposal.
I move to accept.
Okay, second, please.
I'll second.
I'll second.
Okay.
And you can have Sarah second.
Okay. I have one question.
Yes.
The sign on page 34, just a clarification, I think I understand it, but that sign, Downtown Plaza, does that go here?
Yes,
That
that's
is where
gonna
that's
go on
going.
the, so it's gonna go on the inside, so this would be it would be facing the east.
Yeah, so they'd be the stores down the alley.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I just wanted that clarified. Okay.
The applicant has listed my business on that sign, but I am not in that building anymore, and I haven't been for a number of years.
I will make sure he's aware of that.
Well, I just wanted that to be clear. I don't have a
Oh, okay.
conflict for
Okay.
this building. It looks like on page 20 that there used to be signage in that same location.
Yes, yes. And that's one of the reasons where, ultimately in terms of the application, the installation of that sign onto the building, I'm not too concerned. If there was not historically signs located on that wall, then that would have been a situation where this commission would have had to approve the sign as well as the facade grant request, but.
Okay, any other comments, Sarah?
None from me, thanks.
Okay. If there aren't any other, then let's vote on it. All those in favor of approving this project, and the staff recommendations signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, passed. Brings us to number 5. A request from the City of Stevens Point to amend Section 7.4 of the Historic Design Review Commission Design Guidelines as it relates to the required approvals to construct a new accessory structure.
Yeah, so items 5, 6, and 7 relate to some ordinance amendments that we've talked about either during the last month's meeting or just in conversation directly with myself. So we're going to start with item number 5, the accessory structure guidelines. So as you're all aware, the format of this commission relative to approvals that are needed really falls into 3 different criteria. General maintenance, no approvals are needed from staff for this commission. This would be tuck pointing, caulking, power washing, things like that. Minor works would be generally low-key improvements, like-for-like replacement of a window, of a door. Those would be signage. Those would be situations where staff has the ability to review it. If it meets the guidelines of this commission, we can issue them the design review certificate on the spot. If there are problems, if there's hesitations, then that's a case where it gets brought before this body for consideration. And then lastly, the major works would be a new building, demolition of a building, an addition, these significant improvements that would require approval from this commission. And just for the folks who may be watching this later on, page 43 of the agenda packet, the last page outlines essentially the flow chart of the approval process that I mentioned. So the first item here, the approvals to construct a new accessory structure, that is considered a major work. The conversation that transpired last month really revolved around why is there not a threshold that says if you're under X square feet, is it necessary to get approval from this commission? So, in conversations, the proposal that I have for you is to have a 25 square foot cap. And the reason why it's 25 square feet is that's actually the threshold to determine whether or not a building permit's needed. If somebody comes into our office and says, hey, I want to build a accessory structure, it's 24 square feet in size, like the applicant last month, does not require a building permit, but under today's code for this commission, it would require HBDRC approval. So the proposal is if it's under 25 square feet, it's considered a minor work, so staff can review it, provided it meets all of the commission's guidelines, we can approve of it in-house. Any accessory structures that's at or greater than 25 square feet would still require this commission's approval. So, happy to hear any comments, questions, concerns.
Okay, just clarification for me.
Yes.
Based on last month, the guy wanted to put in that small shed behind the house and it was hidden.
Yes.
So you couldn't see it. Didn't affect the historic design review at all.
Yes.
What if you wanted to put it in the front yard? Now that comes under your purview at the office?
So if it'd be, still 24 square feet, that's something that I would review, but that would be something that I wouldn't approve in-house saying, hey, I want to build an accessory structure like that in front of the house. I mean, even if it meets zoning requirements, it clearly doesn't meet this commission's requirements, so
Okay.
ultimately the choice would be before the applicant. The choice would be for the applicant, move it back, work with myself, or if they're pretty insistent they want to have this shed in this given location, then it'll be brought before this commission for your review. And one thing I would note too before we start discussion, for this item 6 and item 7, should this commission choose to approve these amendments, this isn't the first body that this amendment would go to. If approved, the plan commission would have to review the ordinance amendment by way of a public hearing during that meeting, and then provided they approve it as well, council would take final action. So depending on the outcome, depending on your thoughts today, September plan commission would be the next step in terms of approval process. So
Okay.
I'll leave it back to you,
So 5 and 6 relate to the same section.
same section. The reason I separated it is because it's regarding different improvements per se. That's why I just felt it would be better just to talk about them individually.
I guess if we were to make a motion to accept, could we just?
Since it's listed in the agenda separately, we would have to make a motion separate. Yes.
Okay. And number 6 has to do with expired because of the time frame.
Yes, and
That's
once,
required?
after we're done with item number 5, I'll give
Yeah.
a background on item
Okay.
6.
So a motion to accept this 25 square foot cap as proposed.
I'll move
Okay.
to accept the recommendation.
Excuse me. Second, please.
Second?
Second, Mr. Monk. Okay.
It
Any
makes
further-
sense to me because there's still the check of, the city still has to approve whether you can put it in or not. So if it's like a hot pink building in the front yard, we don't have to worry about it. And I kind of thought it was a little silly last month to be having this public hearing discussion about someone who wanted to put a small garden shed hidden in their backyard. So it makes sense to me.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
None? Okay, passed. Number 6 has to do with this time limitation.
Yes, so currently how the commission's design guidelines state is any time an applicant, a developer wants to renew an expired design review certificate, technically that has to be brought before this body for reapproval. And design review certificates expire 1 year after 1 year from the date that this commission approves that request. So the reason why I'm bringing this request before you is really, given the climate that we're in, labor shortages, supply chain issues, and just the approval process that's needed through the State Department of Safety and Professional Services to review a project of substantial proportion. In this climate, it would be quite difficult to have a significant project approved, constructed, and completed within 1 year. So, my perspective is, there's still a need to have a consistent review as the project's going along from a historic standpoint, but my opinion, that can be done through staff level, through staff review instead of that request being brought before this body again. So, especially if there's no changes being proposed. So, again, this is like the last request, more just hearing your thoughts, and if there's any questions or concerns that you all have.
Anybody? No? Sarah?
No questions, thanks.
Okay. All right. I would entertain a motion then to accept the change in section 7.4.1 of the Design Review Commission's document. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, wait, we didn't have a motion. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, yeah.
Oh.
Need a motion, sorry.
I'll so move.
Okay, second, please.
Second.
Okay. No further discussion then. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes. Number 7, a request from the City of Stevens Point to amend section 6.1.2.6 of the Historic Design Review Commission Design Guidelines as it relates to demolition review guidelines.
Yes, so this was actually an item that I believe Commissioner McFarland brought up last meeting. And so, image on your screen on the left shows the 8 guidelines to look at for any demolition request, with the focus for this discussion today being item number 6. So under a literal interpretation of this section, what it says is you cannot demolish a historic building unless it's in a deteriorated state that it would cost essentially an arm and a leg to preserve it, to restore it, with the condition, with the exception that the reason that this structure was brought into a deteriorated state cannot be as a direct result of the property owner. The conversation that transpired last month was, okay, what happens if somebody owns a historic structure for a couple years, doesn't do any maintenance, brings it into a state of disrepair, sells it to another party, and that party in turn wants to demolish the structure. Under a literal interpretation of this requirement, it's not the property owner who just bought it. It's not their fault for bringing this building into a state of disrepair. Technically, it's the previous property owner. So my perspective is that's technically a loose end per se. That's a way out to claim that you meet this requirement, which that's not really, in my opinion, the intent of having demolition guidelines in the first place. Is saying that, hey, if you want to demolish a structure and if it's in a deteriorated state, that's fine, with the one condition that it can't be the property owner or previous property owner's fault for making that structure be in a state of disrepair to begin with. So just more so clarifying it to expand not just the current property owner, but also previous property owners as well. So, general thoughts, comments, concerns?
The demolition would be paid for then by, assuming that we went ahead and approved the demolition.
The cost to
Yeah.
demolish a structure, it would be all
Current or-
private. It would be the current.
Current, okay.
This is more this would be more so how did it get to this point to begin with? And this is provided that the applicant is claiming that the reason they want to demolish it is because it's in a poor condition.
Mhm.
If somebody would want to demolish a structure that's structurally sound, then obviously this condition, this guideline wouldn't come into play at all.
Correct. Anything else from the other three members? Questions? Okay. Then, back to page one.
Motion.
Where's page one? There we go. All right, a motion then to accept the change to section 6.1.2.6.
I move to accept the change to section 6.1.2.6.
That's hard to do.
Yeah.
A second, please?
I'll second.
A second, okay. Any further discussion? Your picture isn't up, Sarah, so I don't know if you got anything to say or not.
I don't even know if his video's on.
I'm good.
You're good? Okay. All those in favor then, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. All right. I think, sorry, Carol, I think that's about it.
Is that it? Oh, okay.
Quick meeting.
Oh, you started early.
3:30.
Oh, I thought it was 4. Oh, sorry.
So let's need to do it, adjourn.
Why
Yeah.
did I say it was
I guess we can adjourn then. The time is 4:03.
4? Okay.
All righty. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks, everyone.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.